I built a $30 million venture fund after being homeless and not making more than $10,000 a year until I was 35. I'm 45 now, invested in more than 200 companies. And now I teach people how to make their first dollar online, even if they're brand new, even if they don't think that they are an entrepreneur. This is like the biggest thing that I do, right? I teach people how to make their first dollar, but I also teach people how to make their first $1 million and beyond. And I want to talk today to the people who are in the six-figure range or seven-figure range. And I want to talk to you about a few things that I have learned along the way and picked up in my observations just actually in the last few days and weeks. I've been traveling. I was in New Orleans for Essence Fest, and now I'm in Chicago for WNBA All-Star Weekend. At Essence Fest, I was in the front row to some of the concerts. I was able to, through a strange uh, sequence of events, I ended up spending most of that weekend with the daughters of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. And that was just an incredible honor and experience. And to spend most of that time at concerts with them was just like very surreal. But the conversations you can imagine were pretty phenomenal, especially with Ilyasa Shabazz, who is Malcolm X's one of his daughters. And here in Chicago, I am courtside at both of the games. Last night we did the 3 point. It was the 3 point shootout, and then today will be the main game, and I'll be courtside again. I'm mentioning those things because, as I said earlier, I was homeless, and not just homeless. And some when I had a home, I was broke and poor and on food stamps for a lot of it. And not to say that I mean, I didn't have like a miserable childhood. I don't want to put it out like that. But we definitely just struggled with money constantly. It was always a thing. It was always a very front and center thing. And I just am very happy and proud and excited to be able to experience certain things today. Most of my days are pretty straightforward and boring to most people. I'm just working. I'm just on calls or I'm online. I don't do as many calls as I used to, but it's not all just running around to different cities and meeting people and doing all that. But it is a lot of that. And what I've being in these rooms, I get to see what I do, how I react to things, how I act. And I also get to see how other people do. The people who have money or some form of success that could be in people knowing who they are. It could be in them being the person who puts things together. It could be a lot of ways, but a lot of the way that you can see someone has had some success is they're able to afford certain things. And one of the things I wanted to tell you, especially and this is for everybody. Obviously, if you make less than six figures and seven figures, please listen because this is kind of part of it. Like hearing the thought process is how you get there. But I want to speak to the people who do six and seven figures for a couple of reasons. One reason is that I have a new membership. It's called More, and it's spelled M long O-R, and it's as in meant for more. And we have four pillars: earn more, invest more, give more, and play more. And each of those pillars, we do very cool things in that line. And the founding members the first 30 are founding members. Their rate is only 10,000 per year, and the rate goes up after our founding members, but still, um, I expect it to grow. And so that's one reason is because I just want to make sure you know about it, and I want to tell you some of the things that as I'm building it in public, what I'm noticing. And another reason is because the reason I'm building it is because a lot of times we don't get this information. Who are we going to talk to? Sometimes we have a group of people who know what it feels like to be in our kind of the tier of money that we're making. But a lot of times you don't. And if we do, do we feel comfortable talking about things and mostly like the bad side of things, the uncomfortable side of things, the things that go wrong? Or are we trying to like flex most of the time? Because if you look at Instagram, we're all doing great. If you look at Instagram, there is not a cloudy day amongst us. Um, so I think more is going to be very special. It already is shaping up to be very special with our first few founding members. It's going to be a place where you can share openly and where you can not be judged and you can get support and help. And a slice of this is this video. If you think about this video, I'm going to tell you a few things that I've noticed. But if we're in these rooms together and we're having these conversations, you'll hear it straight from me and you'll hear the stuff that I can't say on video. So, one of the things I noticed is th a lot of people who have some sort of money, let's say you have some savings, or let's say that, you make 200, 300, 500,000 a year as at a company an executive, or you are someone who just has more money, maybe from your business, maybe you sold something. It could be family money, any of that. Most people are very, um, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that I have noticed. And I don't have imposter syndrome, but I think I know what it feels like. And I kind of know the root of it. And they have this imposter syndrome and a lot of times people will just be, very demure, very shy about things. Not that they need to put their stuff out there all the time, but they'll be very, very reticent to say that they have succeeded. They'll be very, very coy and diminishing about what they have accomplished. I've had so far in the last, this would make day 15 of me having these calls. I've had 29 calls so far for the founding members of More. And each of the people on the call have been just wonderful, extraordinary people. I have not accepted 29 people, and it hasn't worked out that 29 people can join financially. But I'm doing more and more to make sure that the people who get on the calls are prepared to be able to pay that amount. So the conversion is a little bit different. It's absolutely stunning to me how many people I've been on a call with who fit a criteria in most cases that they have a net worth of $1 million or more, make $1 million or more in their company, or are paid 200,000 or more at their business, at their company, who are this is, for instance, I'm going to be the least qualified person in the group. I know it. I know that you probably won't even look at what I'm doing because everybody else is probably better or more successful. And that happens over, it's so funny. I wish everybody could hear each other say it because it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize this was a pain point. I didn't even realize this was something that I was going to be able to notice and help try to help solve, which is like every step that you've taken so far to get here is an important step and it's impactful and momentous. And you have to give yourself more credit. You have to. That because there aren't as many people who make what you make, you stand out. And maybe it is because you don't get to have these conversations, like I said, that you don't realize that you're actually killing it. Even if you feel like you're struggling, even if you feel like you're not getting it right most of the time, that is normal too. I just kind of want to give everybody the memo. Like I'm going to pass a memo around to you all and tell you, you're killing it. There are a lot of people out there making some good money who feel like failures or who feel like they haven't even begun to be successful. And there are a lot of people who, men and women, who count themselves out before they even get in the game. And these are people who like make like 400,000 a year. So this is what's happening. So you're coming into these rooms now. There rooms and there are some people with confidence, and there are some people who feel, at the at the core and truly authentically that they feel good about themselves and they feel like very proud of themselves. But what's happening is, from my perspective, these 29 calls and just being in these rooms here in Chicago, being in the rooms in New Orleans, staying at the best hotels. When I go in these cities, I stay at the best hotels and I hear the conversations in the lobby and I talk to people at the restaurants. Their Instagram and their LinkedIn is killing it, and their internal is just battered and just thinks that they are just not supposed to be in that room. So, one thing I can tell you, whether you join more or not, is to please, please write down a list of things that you have accomplished, big and small, the past 12 months, the past 3 years, the past 10 years. You won't be able to get through it all because the list will simply be so long. This is another thing I have people do from all walks of life is if you're feeling imposter syndrome, if you're feeling down, you're not inspired, write down your accomplishments each day for a week as a draft in your email box, as a handwritten journal. I got out of bed this morning. I got the kids off to school. I did XYZ, big or small. I got that sale, that new client. Write it down at the end of the day, every day for 7 days. Don't wait for a few days because you won't remember everything. Look at that list at the end of the 7 days. I dare you to have imposter syndrome after that. I dare you to. And that's at any level. If you do that at 6, 7 plus figures, 8 figures of people who watch this channel who make 10 million plus, if you do this at 8 figures, it'll absolutely blow your mind because if you're at 7 or 8 figures, I just know you and you have a team and you have to be you think you have to be everything to that team and you think you have to be very strong and know everything and know the direction we're going and you can't show that you are not sure. So you end up doing a lot of stuff on your own that someone else should be doing. Am I calling you out? You know, if 7 and 8 figures, you may never comment here, but I know I see you and I know I'm calling you out probably. You end up doing more than you're supposed to do. And I'm not accusing you or judging. This is me too. It's certainly me. That's why I know it. You end up doing more than you're supposed to do. You hired these people, you're spending all this money, you're concerned about money every month is like a paycheck, 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 or every week, however, it's insurance, it's all the things, whatever you have going. Even if it's freelancers, you're still concerned. But you're not even letting them do 100% of what they're supposed to do. You're doing some of their work. Now, if you do 10% of 10 people's work, that's two jobs. That's 100% of what you're supposed to be doing, and that's 100% of what they're supposed to be doing. So what does that leave? What does that leave on the table? It leaves negative. There's nothing left of you. So take your ego out of it and say, look, they're going to have to see me warts and all. They're going to have to see that I don't know everything. I don't know exactly how we're going to get there. And they are going to have to help us get there. I'm going to tell you something. Several years ago, let's call it 8 years ago, I was in the thick of things, building Backstage Capital. We had 40 people, full-time and part-time, two or three different countries. Most of them were in the US, but we also had a London base. We were just starting a new accelerator that had 4 cities in person because I said that one day in a meeting and we made it happen. And I mean, I was an absolute wreck because we didn't have enough operating capital. It was just uphill battle. Raised money for the companies, didn't have money for the operating. We had some because Microsoft came in, gave us $500,000 a little bit after that. But before that happened, I was just a wreck. And I was just taking calls with as many mentors, even if I just met them, as many as I possibly could. It's like I have to have like 10 or 20 of these mentor calls because something's going to break. And I was connected to Ursula Burns. And I think I had a call with Tristan Walker. And I want to say he connected me to Ursula, but I don't want to give him that credit if someone else did. Obviously happy to give him that credit, but I don't want to take away from someone else. But someone connected me to Ursula Burns. If it was you, let me know. And Ursula Burns was the first Black woman. She is a Black woman who was over. It's a word that begins with. It's either IBM or it's the one that has fax machines and copy machines with an I, Fortune 100 company. And she was the CEO of it. Can't think of it for some reason. And she's just a no nonsense person. And she had recently lost her husband suddenly. So she had like literally and exactly zero tolerance for BS. And I had what did I reach? I don't know, 30, 50 investments by that time. You know, it was a different time, so that was a big deal because DEI was like front and center. And I thought I was something coming to this call. I was like, she's going to be so impressed with me. And we get on the call and I tell her what I've done. And I'm really ready because I had had so many people impressed with me when I say what I was going to say about like went from homeless 3, 4 years ago to XYZ. And she was just straightforward. And she said to me, how many people on your team? And I told her. She said, okay, how many people full time? And I told her. And she said, how many of those people make money for the business? And I said, "Mm, 0 to 1, to be honest. Like I do all of the fundraising and all of the sponsorship, but we have, some couple other people have started bringing stuff in. And she got so upset with me. She was not rude and she was not abusive in her tone, but she was very stern. And she said to me, that's idiotic. She said those words. She said, that's idiotic. Every single person in your company who you are paying should be bringing in some type of money for you in some way. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. I've never heard this before because I didn't know. She has said every single company. Now, doesn't mean everybody's a salesperson, everybody's bringing in deals and fundraising. She just meant that you got to look at your how much you're spending and have a reason why. Why is this person here and what are you spending on? And I had always been someone, and I still am, very much so, someone who likes to develop talent. I like to see talent early, see potential early, and then develop it. It's why I've done so well with investment. Um, but if we break it down, what I was doing was a disservice to all of us on that team because I didn't have enough leadership. I didn't have enough training and forward motion, and I didn't have enough autonomy so that the group itself could be more in control of their own destiny. I had coduled, is that the word? Let me know in the comments. Coduled. I had made it something where like I was the martyr. I was the one who's going to go and get us the money and I'll make sure everybody's good and everybody has insurance and da, 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 da. And I hadn't set them up in a way that they could know how to go out and make. I just kind of assumed I need help, so somebody's going to bring me help. They're going to do something. But if I didn't lay that plan out for everybody, how are they supposed to know? And how was I supposed to run a company with that many people and I'm the only one that can do anything? What happens on a sick day? So I hope this is helping you think through this. If this feels at all familiar, this is the time in your business where I would encourage you to have a hierarchy, to have true leaders who completely can run your business without you. If you disappeared for a year, your business would still keep going. I've seen this over and over again, um, where and Dan Martell talks about this. Mike Michalowicz talks about this. Both of their books are worth getting. Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell, and Clockwork, I think is Mike Michalowicz's, where they both teach you, written 10 years apart, very similar themes, where they both teach you how to delegate in such a proper and organized way that you could disappear for 2 months and you come back and everything is just working like clockwork. That's why it's called that. And it's buy back your time. When I read that, I listened to the audio of it. It's actually an emotional experience for me. It wasn't a tactical so much, it has all the tactics, it has the templates and the things and all that. But it wasn't the frameworks. It was an emotional feeling. Because by the time I read it, which was just a year or two ago, I had already backstage is completely different now. I don't run back day to day backstage. I'm very happy to say that I have some incredible and phenomenal people who do. I'm practicing what I preach. Like I don't run the day to day of Backstage Capital, although I'm the largest stakeholder. But by the time I read it, I had gone through another company build, and I had gone through another burnout, and I had gone through complete layoffs of my entire team. I twice by the time I read that from that call with Ursula to reading that book. And in many ways, by the time I talked to Ursula, I think it was too late. It's kind of the point of what I was saying is like I think it was too late to turn the ship around. So I hope you can see this today and turn that ship around faster than I did. And I had learned that lesson over and over and over again, like multiple times. And I guess it took me more than once to get it. Today I get it. I get it today. Uh, and when I listened to Buy Back Your Time and Clockwork, I listened to them at the same time. I do chapter to chapter because they were very similar. And I like to listen to two books at once. It just helps me read. Um, it was like this weight. It was like somebody saw me, but then also this weight was being lifted. And it's interesting because, both of these books are written by white men who kind of, I mean, they both have their origin stories and of tough lives, but they definitely had like a fallback mechanism. Like if it really came down to it, they had their family to go back to. And so when I read these books that are written by people who I don't relate to in that way, it is always with a grain of salt because I'm like, yeah, you could do that. You could hire that kind of person if you had, the second or third base situation. That's a whole other topic. I don't want to argue that now, but I'm happy to later. But I always do it with a grain of salt. So I'll tell you that too, depending on your circumstances. Read these things with a grain of salt. Let's say, for instance, like I'm not a mother, right? So if I write a book, which I've written four, and I have a book and I'm saying, do this and get in the right rooms and jump on a plane and do this when money loves speed, but I don't have three children at home who like money loves speed, but kids love me being home, then you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? So that's the same thing I'm saying about these. But that is something that I will say to you is being in these rooms, like being courtside, staying at certain hotels, even first class to some degree, but not really, really like commercially, because that's what I do is like commercial stuff. But just getting yourself definitely courtside as opposed to suites, but definitely courtside and then being in the right suite. Oh my goodness. Just puts you in the right proximity to the right people. I'll give you a great example. Yesterday, group of ours, we went over to Soho House here in Chicago. And I have a membership, an all houses membership. You can look it up if you're not familiar, but Soho House. And it costs like 5,900 a year, I think. And I have an all house membership. So I went, you get up to four guests per day. So I had four guests. And we sat there, and I'm be honest with you. I jokingly call myself the Rosa Parks of business because I just want to sit down. That's really what it is. I just want to sit down. That's really what Rosa Parks wanted. I just wanted lunch. I just wanted to sit down somewhere and go to lunch in a quiet place that wasn't me running around to all these 50, 11 events yesterday. So we went there. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many people we ran into. And I mean, I barely had to leave my table to get this thing, this opportunity, and that opportunity, and that opportunity. And if I had just spent if I spent 3 days at Soho House, Chicago during WNBA All-Star, instead of going anywhere, and just sat in the same table and just had people come up, person after person, I probably would walk out of here with 100 to $500,000 worth of deals. Not exaggerating, maybe even more. partnerships, collaborations. Oh, I know this person. Yeah, I'm doing this. And that's because some of it is because people recognize me when they see me. Some people do. A lot of times, though, they don't. And sometimes somebody will say, "This is my friend Arlan," and bring him over. Now, it goes both ways. So the one more thing I'll tell you about this is that I, since I was a child, I did this. I did this in my early 20s and my 30s and now my 40s. I have always been connecting people to each other, always, no matter what my bank account looked like, because that is a form of wealth. Is that social capital? Is why they call it that. I have always been connecting people, always. And so part of it is I saw people in person who I connected to other people and opportunities without wanting anything in return, who 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, they see me in this spot, come over, and they just want to reciprocate because it's just like, yeah, I've just been waiting for a way to for us to work together. So I mean, making it a very, very intentional play to have in mind, how can I connect that person with that person over there? Sometimes I'll have opportunities come to me, like a speaking opportunity or a podcast or something where I'm getting paid something. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to float this over to somebody else so that they get it. Because I've done this a few times. They get it. And I'm going to see if that helps lift their career. One of my favorite things to do in the whole world is to put people together who, again, like I told you, these people on their own, they make it look like they're killing it. Like I'm talking about two famous people right now. Like I know these two famous people, and like you would think they would have all the confidence in the world to go talk to each other. And I saw them in a room, and I'm like, they need to know each other if they don't. So I talked to each other, I brought them to each other, and I just let them talk, and I just left. And that's one of my favorite things in the world to do because it's like I don't need the credit and I don't need to be in the conversation. I don't need to be like invited to the after party. I don't My after party, by the way, was string cheese, some sparkling water, and General Hospital on my laptop. Both night, 2 nights in a row. Okay. That will be tonight too. After party. You know how many after parties are going to be tonight in Chicago? Uh, the best one's going to be in my room. It's going to be me by myself with string cheese, sparkling water, and well, I guess General Hospital's not on Saturdays, but I'll find something. You know what I mean? But anyway, I don't need to get like this instant recognition for putting people together because that's how you build and build and build. So when we're talking about more, if you think about more, the program that I have already, I'm telling you, we are 15 days into me taking phone calls about more, my membership for people who make $1 million or more in their business or make more than 200,000 a year or have a net worth of 1 million plus. Already, I am having conversations with the people who put on the Celine Dion show in Paris in October and May. I'm having a conversation there. I'm having conversations with different companies who want to be involved in that for our group. I'm having conversations with the PGA Tour. I'm having conversations with uh, like national brands who want to just partner. They just want to be around our members and give us stuff and connect with us. And some things I'll be paying for, some things they'll be giving us and hosting us for free because they just want us on property, or they want to do like a live call with us and just show us things and teach us things in one of our earn, invest, give, or play categories. That is just remarkable after 2 weeks. So I just can't imagine what this is going to be like in 6 months and 2 years. I can't imagine. I I I want 50 members by the end of 2026. 50 members. I would love that. I would be very, very happy with that. And then I would love to have, call it 150 to 200 members by the end of 2027. I just think that would be remarkable and beautiful group. And I've already seen it with just a few members in our founding group. I've already seen how people are already wanting to help each other and connecting. And I'll get to meet and just really get to know some phenomenal people. Now, I will not be stopping all the work that I do to help people make their first dollar. That's exciting too. So all the free YouTube videos, the archive, please go back and look if this is you, if you've just been observing. My Your First 5K membership is free. 33,000 people. We just reached that. Um, incredible, incredible. 28, no, no, 30,000 of those plus uh happened between December 2025 and July 2026. 30,000 of those 33. So keep going there. We'll have a blast there. But when it comes to the proximity, being in the rooms, we're going to get really, really intentional and very strong there so that we can create more and more opportunities for people who need us the most. Um, this is what I teach, right? I say, look, we all have big hearts. That's why we're here. We want to impact the world in some way. But what do? We try to undercharge. So people have been reaching out to me, hey, can you give me a payment plan? Can you do this and that? And I'm very stern with it. I said, no, the 10,000 a year is actually very low for what this is, like completely. It's a 25,000 plus product. So the founding members will get it for 10,000. More people will pay more. So I'm not going to do a payment plan. I'm not going to do a discount. I'm not going to do that because this is why. What we do across the board, no matter how much money we're making, we want to impact. We want to help somebody. We're usually trying to help the person we used to be or were a few years ago. I know that I do. And so what do? We say we want to make it accessible. So if it's accessible, if it's a lower price, it'll be accessible. Well, then we get a bunch of people in who maybe pay the lower price, but you get more questions, you get more pushback, you get more refund requests all day long. It's just the natural form of things. So you're not getting as much. You have more people that you need to steer and help. You're not getting paid the right amount, and you have more pushback. And so the people you're trying to reach are not getting served well because you're so burnt out and you're so stretched thin. And you're also starting to get resentful that everything that you wanted to do just doesn't end up working. And sometimes you even go under. Sometimes you even have to quit. Whereas if you instead had a higher ticket offer, a more expensive product, and you sold that to the people who wanted it, because there are millions of people out there who can't afford it and who would want it, because there are 8 billion people in the world. So even if you have a few thousand TAM, total addressable market, that is millions of dollars for you per year. So you go out, you charge more so that you can serve better, fewer people. You do not do a discount. You make an appropriate amount of money that can help serve. And then with the rest of your time, because you're not working with thousands of people who all need your attention, you could actually turn your attention over to the people you were wanting to impact to begin with and do whatever you'd like with them. You can have a low ticket with them. You can have a free. I say this, like, let's say you have 10 customers or 10 clients and they pay you 10,000 a year, 20,000 a year each. You're set over there. If that works for you, that amount works for you. Or say that you're B2B and it's even more per year. And then because it's 10 people, maybe you work 20 hours a week, maybe less. Then you got 5, 10, 20 hours a week free to do whatever you'd like. And with that, you could say, hey, every Friday, I have a free class, free workshop, live workshop for anybody over here who is not in my program. And you give back and you serve. You see what I'm saying? Let me know if that makes sense. And either you can comment or you can reach out to me on email, arlanhamilton@gmail.com. Arlan Hamilton. You can look below to see how to spell my name, but it's no spaces, no dots, arlanhamilton@gmail.com. That's if you just want to give me a little feedback about this video and let me know if it was helpful. You can leave a comment as well. And if you want to join more, I will have the link to the Calendly application below. you answer just two questions for that to get on a call. And if you answer no to the second question, I'll just email you and let you know that the call is not going to work out. It's about budget. And then once you're on the call, qualified, you have the money, you have the intent, and it's just a matter of getting more information and making a decision on my part as well. Then we get on a 30-minute call. We have an application call. And that's when we see if it's the right fit for each other. And we go from there. And we're just having a great time. On next Tuesday, I'm doing a suite at LA Sparks in LA at Crypto Arena. We're doing a suite for our more members. And then I think we have a second suite in August for more. Then we have Whoopi Goldberg's one person played somebody. It's like Journey Smollett is actually like acting in it. And that's at the Lincoln Center in New York. We have tickets to that. We have Insecure. So the reunion for the show Insecure with Issa Rae and all her people. That's going to be all over the country. So we have tickets for those. We have Kaylani is going to play in LA, so we have a suite for her. Going to see Mavis Staples in Ojai. We're doing all kinds of wealth building stuff. That's on the play side. So we're doing a bunch of wealth building, some things that, yeah, some really special guests and some special opportunities there. So I hope this has been helpful. Let me know. I'm going to get ready now. I'm going to head over and hopefully meet up with a few people here in Chicago who follow me online. And I can't wait to see them. And if you're one of them, I can't wait to see you. All right. Talk soon.